I engage politically through being a body. I mean, you can't not you can't not be a political body. You are. Yeah, you just are. You can't escape it, you know. If I wanted to frame myself as queer, it would be very easy to do that. But I feel like I'm so disappointed with what passes as queer. At this moment, there isn't necessarily much point in it. It's a bit of an empty word. And it seems to, I don't know, it's got itself into a very loose area, and the notion of queer itself seems so reliant on something not being queer that I feel like it's invalidated itself. I've only ever interested in really just creating a new kind of language, and there's a whole bunch of impulses for that, but of course one of them can be interpreted as political, in the sense of needing to create your own voice in order to articulate a certain point of view. What I do is involved in mind-body connection, and so to destabilize the hierarchy of mind that has a lot of political and social potential. Ambition on a physical level is cancer. It's not being, it's a cell not being in accord with its context, its environment, etc., itself. So that's basically the metaphor. All I've ever done is make life as difficult for myself as possible. I stepped into movement and choreography and dance at 33 years old, or something ridiculous like this. I mean, I was doing performance before, but I really invested in movement and my body at 33 years old, coming from art, from fine art. And now I find myself in a position where, you know, it's a bit too art for dance, it's a bit too dance for art. Or just not even that, it's more that people just seem so confused about what I do. So yeah, I'm always making life difficult. I think I'm compulsively making everything difficult for myself. My artistic career can only be me doing what I think I should be doing. Yeah, I mean, it's not even think, it's like feel, isn't it? It's like what I feel I need to manifest. It's like, it's something, it's not independent of me, but it's something, it comes from a place that's very innate, and that is sort of struggles to find expression, I suppose. And it's my job to kind of form that expression. And I find that more and more the more I work with my body. It's important to have an audience, and it's important to get money. It's important to get paid, to be able to eat. But I really think if you're focusing more on your position, you're just focusing on the wrong stuff. And I'm not interested in looking at work that is focusing on the wrong stuff. I'm not interested in wasting people's time. I'm in a kind of working process at the moment, so I'm very isolated. And so Berlin offers me the time and the space to indulge that. You know, I'm too privileged to I'm in Berlin doing this because I can do this here. You know, I can afford to spend loads of time and have some space to myself. You know, it's such a privilege. I've been doing some workshops and some teaching, and I got left money from a grandparent who died before I started the course. So I was able to totally invest my time studying while I was at school. And to be honest, I'm still kind of just about, I need to get a job, basically. Let's not talk about that. Well, I come from, the visual art world, so it's like completely over the top there, basically. I really adamantly believe in being irrational, and I really believe it's an artist's job to be irrational, and I don't want to subscribe to anyone else's language in order to articulate what I do, because otherwise that thing that I'm doing either already exists or is negating itself through describing itself through other means. I really don't think it's an artist's job to subscribe to match or meet up to prescribed models of intelligibility. I really don't think that's what art is about. It's not what art's about. And I resent, actually, this kind of culture where an artist has to be this fully formed thing and approaches a curator as a whole package, because I don't understand what the curator's doing. I don't understand what they're doing. We're doing the work for them, to create a whole package. It's like, I feel like it's other people's role within the art world, the dance world, whatever, to describe what I'm doing. I'm perfectly capable of describing it myself, and I have a language through which I can describe it. But I don't think, I think tidying up the edges in order to be accessible or programmable is placing my energy in the right way. And I gave an artist talk recently, and to a bunch of art students, visual art students, and it was the first time they invited me to lead a somatic workshop, a body-based workshop, and they were so excited. I mean, they were very enthusiastic to be doing things with their body. And so I gave an artist talk at the end of the day, and it was an embodied talk, and whatever that meant, I had to kind of make it up. And so I sort of embodied and demonstrated on a physical level what I was talking about, talking in inverted commas, what I'm dealing with. And it absolutely felt like the right medium for the job. I was talking about embodiment and movement and space, and so I did. So I was embodiment, movement and space. Well, through somatics, I mean, I'm in a completely different relationship to myself than I was, say, 3 years ago. I spend a lot of time on my body, and that has shifted who I am, and so inevitably that influence goes out to my community, like my friends or whatever. The repercussions of it are essentially kind of endless, really. People come to me often these days for advice with their anxiety. After graduating, I think something very strange happened to time. I think time became, because we'd been so focused and so concentrated and so productive all up until a point, then there was this kind of inevitable sort of drop-off of activity or just engagement having graduated. And yet there was all this motivation. I felt very motivated. And I realised quickly that the outside world was not as excited necessarily as me, as about what I was doing. But that's not to say they weren't interested at all, because it took a very long time, I suppose, months, for anything in terms of performance to kind of mobilise. And then 6 to 8 months later, I found myself performing my thesis performance again in various places, which I was really happy to do. I mean, it was strange to go back and revisit that material, but it was relatively easy. But in a sense, time had just kind of been on some kind of weird pause, kind of creatively speaking, until really the sort of autumn of last year. And so everything in between that was really about finding myself having graduated and turning 35 and just wondering what the hell that was all about, and so kind of having a bit of a meltdown, really. Basically, and which I guess was necessary. And in terms of where I'm at now, I mean, what I had done on SODA enabled me to apply for a grant, which I got. So this year I'm pretty fortunate, and I'm being supported by some money by the Einsteigförderung from the Berlin Senate. It's a kind of privileged place to be, but it's also a bit of a strange place to be, to find yourself being supported and yet not necessarily in any kind of demand.